Mm.
Welcome to Late to Work podcast with Diamond and Wild. I'm Diamond. That's the real Wild. What's your ETA?
What's up, Diamond? There's no ETA today. I'm also up. I'm awake just way earlier than I need to be. Because I don't have shit to do. What's your ETA?
Technically, you have something to do.
What do you mean?
You're the host of a very popular podcast.
Well, thank you. That's really all I have going on today is this. So I woke up for this, and after we finish this up, the rest of my day is just pure improv. Um, but what about you? You trying to get in early, or what's going on over there?
I'm all screwed up, man. I'm so screwed up right now, man.
Dude,
I'm all
bro,
screwed.
he's screwed up in the head, man. What's
I'm
up?
screwed in the head.
Fuck.
I don't have a car. Um,
Oh, right,
I don't
right.
have a
Okay,
car, and
I
it's like
don't think
throwing off
you.
my morning routine. I don't know why. It
Fuck.
really shouldn't that much, but I'm doing everything backwards.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned this to me, but I don't think you talked about this on the pod. You are all of a
No.
sudden without a car.
Yeah, I'm up Shit's Creek without a paddle, as some would say.
Nice.
Um, my phone like has an alarm.
Mm.
It wants to.
Good.
All right, so I had an appointment with Firestone like 2 weeks ago because we had been talking about getting our cars fixed, and I was on you about it, but I hadn't done anything myself.
Yes.
So, hold on one second. So I made an appointment like 2 weeks ago, and then they just, without even like talking to me, I just got an email. It was just like, "Hey, your appointment got moved a week later to Friday at noon." And I was like, "Well, luckily for you bastards, I can do that." So I was a little frustrated, but I brought it in this Friday at noon. The guy's like, "Do you want to stay or do you want to drop it off?" I was like, "I'll just drop it off." He's like, "All right,
Mm.
I'll give you a call when it's done." I don't hear anything. Next day, I call them. I'm like, "Hey, can I get my car?" And they're like, "Oh, we haven't even had a chance to look at it yet." Long story short, I played phone tag with these guys, and they
Mm.
don't look at it till Sunday morning. And then I tell them, I'm like, "I need it," and then they're calling me, and they've worked up like $2,000 of stuff to do to it.
Oh shit.
Um, which like I want to have a safe vehicle. Like I brought it in there to make it
Yeah.
safer, but I've also lost
Yeah.
trust in them at this point.
Yep.
Um, so I tell them just put on. I called. I called Tim Holst, who I
Mm.
haven't spoken to in a long time. I highly recommend everyone calls Tim Holst. He's divine. I talked to him about car guy stuff. And he told me that he puts the absolute cheapest tires he can on all of his vehicles, and he's a real car guy. So
Yeah.
I got the cheapest tires they had, and then they closed at 5, and I was trying to call them, but it was going to their voicemail, and then
Yeah.
I get a call at like 7 last night, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Like, "Hey, your car's ready to get picked up." I'm like,
Oh.
"What the hell?" I try to call them back. Of course, it's their after hours line. I guess they're stuck late. So I
Yeah.
hop in the car with my whole family. We fly down there, and I get there, and they're closed, and there's nobody there.
Fuck.
So this is a 1-star review for Firestone tires.
Yeah.
Do not go to Firestone.
Dude. Well, I'm curious. They were telling you had a $2,000 bill of repairs. Did you guys actually agree to the 2,000?
No,
Okay.
I just told them to put some cheap tires on it and give it back to me.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Good. Good. Good.
Yeah, no, we can't have our vehicles totally fixed up.
No.
No, it's I don't want them to do it. I heard that there's like some mom and pop shop around the block from my house, so I'm gonna bring it there, and they're supposed to
Mm.
be good.
Yeah. You got to go. Yeah. You got to get that car. But now it sounds like what are you doing to get to work this morning?
Well, I'm gonna have to call an Uber, and that's why I'm all tied up. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what I've been doing this morning, and my ETA, I have no idea what it is. I just texted my boss. I don't know my ETA.
Mm.
I told him I'm going to be over probably. But
Yeah, I mean, at least you have a legitimate excuse. Your car's in the shop.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But like I'm brushing my teeth right now. I usually brush my teeth as soon as I wake up, but I'm doing everything backwards.
You're all crossed up, man. Jeez. If you need to hop in the Uber, I wonder if we can finish the pod from the Uber because that's been on our bucket list for a while, you
I'm
know.
pretty sure I can, but I don't have. I need headphones.
Right.
And I don't remember where my AirPods are.
Yeah,
Um,
whatever.
or I could just like ask the Uber driver if he's okay
Mm-hmm.
with me doing it. But
Being recorded.
yeah, hang on one second.
Are you comfortable with being recorded on an internationally syndicated podcast? We do have viewers in India.
We call it the Docs Cast. Are you interested?
That's good.
So I wanted to talk to you, of course, but I'm going to quickly mention that I did go to the hotel pool as described in the prior episode
Mm,
with Resort or with Tim Pass.
yeah.
And I've got to tell you, it was mobbed with people.
Ooh,
There was nowhere to sit. The pool was like shoulder to shoulder.
fuck.
There was a wedding there. I don't know if the wedding was there, but the wedding party had a room block there, and it was just full of like Instagram models, male and female, just like pseudo influencers wanting to kick off their career.
Yeah.
And then there were like five portly men like myself. But it was okay. I spent $160 on food and drink. That was lunch and I think maybe two and a half drinks
Mm,
for me and Sid. And we stayed for about 3.5, 4 hours.
okay.
And so it was 35 for each of us to get in. And then but here's the thing. Yeah, I had a wristband. Someone asked. Yeah, I did. But I was like the only one wearing it. I don't think anyone wore it. The other thing is, I don't even think you have to pay for the pass.
Mm,
Like, I think that would not really come up with how busy it was. There's nobody walking around checking people's wrists or hotel keys.
yeah.
And there was no like buzzer to get in. Like a lot of hotel pools, it's like, hey, you got to use your key if you want to get in there. But because this one is a restaurant as well, and I think they're trying to encourage like foot traffic through the restaurant, um, I was able to just like walk right in. Like I didn't need the resort pass at all. I ended up sitting in the restaurant for half of the time because the
Mm,
restaurant had like an outdoor area next to the pool. So,
yeah.
all things considered, I would consider something like this again. I think that July 5th is maybe not the best day if you're trying to have like a serene resort pool experience.
Yeah. That makes sense.
The
I
bodies were otherworldly. I can't stress that enough. How fit and
mm,
sexy everybody was. It really made me question. Like, am I the only fat guy in his mid 30s? Like, what is going on here?
no.
But
That's
then
interesting.
yesterday we went to a water park, like a proper water park, just like impromptu. Like Jacob was like, I want to go swim somewhere, and I was like, well, we're not doing resort pass. They don't let kids.
Mhm.
Or Tim Pass. So I went to like a proper water park called Nashville Shores, uh, and it's kind of like the everyman's water park. You can imagine what that means, right? You
Mm,
can use your
okay, now this
imagination.
is more your speed.
I felt so seen in my body. No, in all seriousness, everyone was just kind of floppity doppity doopity. They
Yeah.
got bad tattoos dripping off of their hips and
Oh
stuff. I
my
was like, all
god.
right. It's like, thank God. I was worried everybody was like the influencers at that pool.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so way fewer thong bikinis at the water park. and for good reason. But
Mm,
no, but
yeah.
that was my weekend in a nutshell. Sorry, I wanted to get all
Interesting.
that off my
No,
chest.
that was good. That was good. And I have been following the Tim Pass saga, which I think I mostly agree with, except now it sounds like you might not even need it if you want to go back to that hotel the next time.
Yeah, and
Which is
I mean,
funny.
I'm just gonna just go there because you can just say that you're going to the restaurant
Yeah.
and then just like accidentally fall in the pool after you're done eating your food or something. Like,
That sounds good. Dude, were you and Tim the only ones walking around with a wristband?
I didn't look at too many people's wrists. If I had read Tim Rando's Discord post with the
Yeah.
appropriate timing, I think I would have been a wrist checker, but I was not a wrist checker. I didn't even look.
Yep. Yep. Um, that's funny. That okay, not to get too on this track of the conversation, but like it is distracting when you go to one of these places, right? You're at this fancy hotel, there's a nice pool, there's all these sexy people walking around, and it's like that would be awkward enough if you were like by yourself, or maybe not, but like distracting for sure. But then like you're with your wife, and I'm sure you're both now just like looking at other people, which is right, and that's like a weird. It's kind of like a weird vibe.
Well, to be honest, I was averting my eyes a lot because
Yeah,
it would have been pretty easy to be pervy, but
yeah,
also it was a sea of people dressed that way. Like,
right,
it gets to a point where it's just everywhere you look, left, right, booty cheek, abs, bicep,
right.
booty cheek,
I'm
boobies.
I'm getting
It's just
bricked up
like
right
you
now.
get to a point where you're just like, there's just a sea of this stuff, and I don't even care. I'm just trying to have a nice time with my
Mm,
Tim. And uh, all things considered, I think she's
mm.
pretty jaded about the whole thing too. Like,
Yeah.
neither of us are like lusting after Instagram models in
Well,
our free time.
that's good. That's yeah, that's good. But it's also the sort of thing where like, if curiosity peaks, you could always just go alligator mode.
Truly, it was so packed, like elbow to elbow. Like, there was no like people watching. Really,
Yeah.
it's hard to explain. It was very close quarters.
Oh, okay. But
Like,
are you familiar with the alligator mode?
I can imagine. Why don't you tell me though?
Well, it's a age old tactic. This was created at the Disney trip class of 2008. You're in the pool, you got bodies around
Oh
you,
God.
there's nice looking ladies, and you're out there, and you just go into the deep end of the pool. You kind of submerge until only the tops of your eyelids are coming out of the water.
This sounds like something all my Tims from 2008 would do on a
I,
Disney trip.
I don't remember if that was Joker that came up with it or Tim Tim that came up with it.
I can only imagine which Tims were doing such things like this.
Yeah.
But no, truthfully, it wasn't a very pervy situation.
Yeah.
And uh, it's hard to explain. Like, it's like people were just talking to you because you were just
Yeah.
like so crammed in there. Like,
I
people
got you.
had
I
like
got you.
no choice but to be like, "How are you? Okay, oh, do you have the time? Do you need some sunscreen?" Like,
Yeah.
it's just like it was like, yeah, honestly, the energy was awful. Like, we ended up
Yeah.
leaving. I say this, and I am a hypocrite, but the thing that made me want to leave is I had been ignoring the bro energy, but the frat bro side of things was getting drunker and drunker and louder and louder.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And one dude, there was like a circle of guys and their wives, and then there was like a sixth wheel man with them,
Jeez.
and he was talking to one of his buddies' wives, and they were all just like in this circle. And he's like, guys, guys, guys. I'm gonna start a podcast with Julia. Holy shit, dude. We're into the same shit. We're both into Captain D's fish sandwiches. We're gonna do a podcast about it. And I was like, I gotta leave.
I gotta get out of here.
I'm just trying to rest in my little pool
My
chair.
God.
I had waited hours for a freaking day chair to open up for us.
Yeah.
I'm laying there. I just want to rest.
Yep.
I can't handle this drunken guy who's clearly the worst of the group,
Fuck.
yelling like this about making a podcast. Only I get to make podcasts and not
Hmm.
be judged for it.
First off.
But
Yeah.
I got to tell you the truth. At this point in the episode, I've been talking way too much for how much Wild is currently on the air right
It's
now.
fine. That's
The
fine.
people need to know about you.
Ugh, it's all good. No, man, that's good. And again, we're crossed up here. We're twisted around. We started
I'm
with you
I'm
talking.
contorted.
We're all contorted. And all right, we'll flip it up. I haven't been on with you for a little while, and I was thinking about like what I could bring up that would be like worth chatting about. And I think the main thing that I want to tell you is about how like a week ago I went to Goshen and spent a couple nights with my parents, and I spent a night with my dad, and the scene at my dad's house was just like so bizarre that I just wanted to tell you about it.
Please go on.
Okay. So, and this is like a good week ago, but ever since I've been back, it's just been like normal hanging, whatever. But anyway, I go to Goshen last week, and I only get to see my dad like once a month or once every other month, whatever. And he was like, "Hey, I have some free time. You have some free time. Let's hang out." He wanted to go into New York and go to Chinatown, and like kind of just have one of our like, you know, old times sake, like let's bop around Chinatown and get Chinese food and hang out. And I was like, all right. So we do that. It was on like a Monday, and we have a full day in the city. And then we like came back to Goshen and we got ice cream and we were just hanging. And it was just me and him. So it was like a lot of good chat and conversation. And, it was like I hadn't had a weekend like that with my dad in a while. And I think he really enjoyed it. And then he wanted me to stay at his place, at his house. And usually I'll spend the night with my mom because it's like more comfortable. She has a bigger house. Hey, Duke. But my dad was like, "Oh, you can spend the night with me. It's fine." I was like, "Okay." So I go to my dad's house. Oh, and I'll tell once I say this line, I think you'll probably figure out like where the rest of the story is going. So I said to my dad before I got to his house, I was like, "Dad, do you have like a bed? You have an extra bed in your bedroom. Can you make sure that I can sleep on that bed before I get there?" And he's like, "Oh, it's honestly, it's gonna be too much trouble. I've got so much stuff on the bed, and that bed's not even comfortable, and it's too hot upstairs. You're not even gonna like it. I'll just throw a bed sheet on the couch, and I'll make up the couch for you, and you can sleep there." And I was like, "All right, that's fine." And in the back of my head, I was like, "That's not my ideal, but like, I'll do anything if it's just one night. I don't want to make waves." So I get to my dad's house. Um, and it's just like sorry, I'm trying to be somewhat. My dad's house is like in a state of disarray. Okay, and without going into detail, it's like we hang out, we like have some dessert, we're watching a movie, and then I go to sleep on the couch. But before I can go to sleep, uh, my dad has like a fly problem in his house. So he had told me, he's like, "Oh, I found some flies. I had to kill some flies the other day." We get to my dad's house and there's like a dozen flies buzzing around.
Uh, I found some flies, Glenn, or dying wild, whatever your name.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of flies going around like his kitchen and his living room. And it's like, okay. Like we've all seen flies before, like, but this is a lot of flies. And he's got like fly traps by the door, but there's still like they're coming in, and he's like, "Oh, we gotta take care of the flies real quick." And his solution for getting rid of the flies, he has a salt gun. He he has he has this thing that looks like a super soaker, but it just sprays salt.
I put on mute because I'm just squealing.
He gets this giant gun and you pump it like a shotgun, and he's going around the house headshotting flies. And
Yeah.
he takes down like 10 of them, and he's like, "Here, you want to try?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'll shoot some flies real quick." But like this isn't this isn't really helping anything. Like we're spraying salt around the house. We've got fly carcasses all over the floor. We need to clean the flies along with some other things. And like thanks for killing the flies, but this hasn't really made my night any more comfortable. Uh so I mean it was good. We eliminated about 15 flies, and I tried not to think about it too much. And then at the end of the night, I grabbed a blanket and a pillow and I went to sleep on the couch. And there was one fly buzzing over my head at night, and then I had to grab the gun just real quick before I went to sleep, and I shot it. And
You
I
had to,
said,
you had to give one a good night kiss of death.
I was like, all right, let me take care of this thing. And then you become used to it. It's like, there's a fly, let me grab the gun. There's a fly, let me grab the gun. And then I'm spraying, and praying. And then eventually it stopped buzzing and I went to sleep. But it was just kind of a strange night at I will say the original Wild Rice's house. This is a bit of lore here. The Wild Rice moniker came from my dad's time in the military, probably about 40 years ago.
That's what Wild is from?
Yes.
Oh, gee, dude. All right, keep going.
Okay, I don't know. I just dropped that in the middle, but it was just this bizarre scene. And it's like, and my dad, so I think like you've interacted with him enough to kind of understand the person he is. And I really do, like, I love my dad, I love spending time with him, but it's like I don't know if I want to spend another night at his house anytime soon. That's it.
That's intense. Yeah, I mean, I've had somewhat similar experiences, but with my dad and his living situation being a little strange. But what I'll tell you is there's never that many flies. And what I want to understand is, so your dad says, "Oh yeah, I found some flies."
Right.
Where'd the flies come from, and when did it start?
Right. See, exactly. You're asking the right question. I think he's been dealing with flies for a while. He's been talking about flies being in his house for probably a couple months. And, it's one of those things where you could say, like, oh, it's the summertime, we're going to get flies. But, like, no, most people aren't getting flies like that. And I think that they're coming in because they smell something. Um, Somehow they're finding the way in. Maybe I I don't even want to think like what might be floating around the house or like hiding in a corner somewhere that might be like a fly heaven, you know? Um Something is attracting them to that space.
Right, right. We've established that the flies like your dad's house, but what I'm trying to understand is how are they getting in?
Oh
Now,
yeah.
I say this, and I've
Yeah.
been thinking about it, and I've had a couple flies in my house recently that have been driving me nuts. But we're talking about two, maybe three, and it's because my Tim
Mm.
loves to leave the back door open, like
Mm.
so that the dogs can walk in and out throughout the day, and we're just blasting our AC. And
Yeah.
I literally will like fall on the ground and beg her, please keep the door closed.
Yeah.
It's insane to let that much cold air out of the house. But anyway,
No, flies will come in quick. I'll have a similar problem if I leave my door open for 10 seconds. But But I don't think it's a question of how they're getting in. I think it's a question of how they're staying there. Because you get two flies in the house, you kill them, boom, they're gone. But the way these things work is they multiply very quickly. And I have a feeling that they're hanging out somewhere in his house. He doesn't know where. And they're multiplying, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I think he may like it because honestly, using the salt gun sounds like fun.
He has so much fun with it.
He may be like breeding them even in here, he might know what's going on and he's probably just permitting it to happen so he has
Yeah.
some things to take pot shots at throughout the day.
He's
Can you
breeding
tell me?
giant flies for fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the plot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, all right, can you run me through why they called him Wild in the military?
Oh, yeah. I don't, that's a good question. I don't know if there's like a specific story that where it came about. I asked him about it recently and he just said like one of the sergeants like called him wild, but every time he talks about his military service, he talks about how he hated it and it was like hard for him to get along with other people until they realized he was funny, and then he became like the funny guy in the, I don't know, the platoon or the troop or whatever the hell it was, and everybody just thought he was hilarious. And I think that's where he developed this personality of like telling stories, telling crazy things. Um like, not that he's making stuff up or whatever, but it's this personality that he's carried through for like 50 years of just like saying whatever's on his mind because he like thinks it's going to get a laugh, which eventually you get into a certain setting and it's like maybe not appropriate, but he would just, I think, hang out with people that was, they were in the army and they were overseas in like Germany doing artillery drills in the woods. But you just kind of go stir crazy, when you're camping out in the woods like that. And I don't know if it was anything he did, but he would just tell stories, and I don't know, everybody thought he was a hoot. But now I'm wondering, because someone decided to call him wild. There, I got to ask him, because who knows, maybe he was fucking, shooting flies or swatting them with his underwear or something, to get that nickname. But yeah, it was a thing that eventually everybody called him. I know that, but I gotta find. I don't know if there's like a specific thing he did or said to get that.
This is awful, but I'm imagining like, yeah, he took the head off of like 10 enemy infantrymen using a serrated knife, and we just called him Wild. No, you never know in the military, right?
Yeah,
But
one of
my
those.
Uber is here. I don't have any headphones. Uh,
No, it's fine.
I
It's
don't think
fine.
I have it in me to ask the Uber
Yeah,
driver to be on the pod, but
we're coming
um,
up on the 30-minute mark here.
yeah, they're pulling in. But let's get you back on here. This was incredible. The audience is going to be so thrilled.
Hmm.
My ETAs looks like I'm going to be 5 under the 7, 5 over the 10 under, and my boss told me he understood and that it was okay.
Nice.
So I have all my Monday paperwork to do. I'm going to be behind on all of it, and then probably watch. They're going to get on me like your paperwork's not done. I'll be like, I tried to come in early, my car won't work. All
Mm.
right, but I'm Diamond. That's Wild. I'm late to work.
All right, man. See ya.